As nightfall came over Konoha, there was a particular coldness in the air. The village had temporarily been placed under martial law, its citizens already locked in for the night. Most of the market area had been entirely cleared. Shinobi were posted at their stations, the barrier team already in work. Kushina's private location for giving birth had been adjusted. More barriers, more Anbu members, everything was put into place. If anything, it was way more secure than they had originally planned for. And honestly, even without all of the strange happenings that happened in the last few days, this was probably for the best. Kushina was already in the room, with the wife of the third Hokage helping her with the labor team. Minato was in there as well to watch over the seal, as when a female Jinchuriki gives birth, that is the moment when the seal over the tailed beast is at its weakest. Outside of the room sat both Kakashi and Boruto. The two sat on opposite sides of the door, sitting on the ground, both of them being at high alert, not knowing what was going to happen next. Sasuke, in the meanwhile, was patrolling with Fugaku, keeping an eye over the village. Unlike before, as the Uchiha weren't factored in or included in the original workings of protecting the village, after everything Minato had learned, it would be foolish not to utilize the Uchiha, much to the chagrin of Danzo Shimura, as he was adamant that they had more than enough and that the Uchiha should simply focus on overseeing the village. Of course, Danzo was not made privy to all of the true ins and outs of what was happening. Sasuke made sure that Danzo would not be. But you didn't need Sasuke to tell you how much Danzo shouldn't be trusted. Minato didn't trust him. The third Hokage had knew better than to keep him at a distance. So, it went without saying, the Uchiha were much needed and were much more utilized. It caused a stronger form of camaraderie to form with the Uchiha, as now they felt like they were a part of something important. They were actually being used in a way that was befitting of them, in helping of securing the village's safety and not being pushed to the sidelines. Sasuke would spearhead their efforts, knowing that he could put everyone in the best positions to succeed. Of course, Fugaku couldn't help but be amazed that this was what his future son turned out to be, someone so powerful and capable. Of course, he wanted to ask more, but he knew better than to do so. Plus, Sasuke wasn't the type of person who wanted to talk very much about the future. Had something happened? Something good, something bad, something he could have prevented. In either case, Sasuke wasn't going to give him that sort of information. No, the fact that he already knew who Sasuke was more than enough. They didn't need to go any further into detail. For now, though, Kushina would focus on giving birth. Boruto could hear the unpleasant screams of a woman in labor. Safe to say, he hoped he never had to put a girl through that sort of pain and trial. Of course, it was strenuous, touch and go at a moment, but even still, the birth would take place successfully, as the baby boy would cry out, as the midwives would help wipe him off, cutting the umbilical cord and cleaning everything up. The seal had been maintained. Kushina, although tired, was happy that things had turned out the way that it did. Minato would watch as the baby was placed in Kushina's arms, as the third Hokage's wife and the others were now preparing to leave. They were hoping to get out of there as soon as possible. It was then, though, at that moment, the enemy would make his move. From out of nowhere within the room, a portal of sorts would open. A man in a yellow mask dressed in black robe would appear before them. Under his mask, the glaring glow of the red Sharingan. It was at that moment, though, the door would burst open, both Boruto and Kakashi jumping into the room. The masked man looked towards Kakashi with a sense of anger boiling up inside of him. This wasn't how things were supposed to go. Why was he, of all people, here? But oh well, it made no difference. The masked man would see and target a few of the Anbu members in the room, including the wife of the third Hokage. However, unfortunately for him, Minato had taken some extra precautions. On everyone's clothes, he had placed a flying Raijin mark, as well as placing one on his own jacket. The reason? So that he could switch in and out. If the enemy were to strike, and it wasn't at him, then he was going to make the enemy engage with him. Of course, Minato had no idea what was going on, why there was a masked figure with a Sharingan here. The figure had targeted the third Hokage's wife, but she was switched out immediately with Minato, as Minato came face to face with the masked man. "Who are you? Why are you here?" Fourth Hokage. So we finally meet at last. I've heard so much about you. About me? And who are... I am a ghost of the Uchiha, the dark flame of the hidden leaf, one of whom you've all tried to extinguish. I am Madara Uchiha. Those very words sent a shiver down everyone's spine just hearing that. Kakashi couldn't even believe it. Was this really him? The Madara Uchiha? Even Boruto became fearful. The one who started the Fourth Great Ninja War, Boruto would think. Is it really him? Minato would engage with the masked man, Kakashi aiding him, while Boruto would watch over Kushina and the baby. The others would take the time to try to get everyone else out of there at Minato's order, since Minato knew for a fact that this fight was going to turn deadly. Of course, he would have loved to have used the flying Raijin, but he would then create an opening allowing for the masked man to strike. Kakashi backing him up, it would be a 2-on-1 assault. The masked man seemed to be able to counter all of their movements just fine, the one known as Madara. And yet, even still, Kakashi found that he could keep up with him just barely, Minato covering his blind spots as the two would continue their fight. At one point, Kakashi would go for the lightning blade from the back. However, he would seemingly phase right through him, and he was about to stab Minato in the chest. Minato, however, at the last moment would move out of the way with the flying Raijin, as Kakashi would backtrack once again, attempting to swipe away at Madara in the face, only for his hand to phase through once more. Boruto would try to jump into the fight next, looking to help wherever he could. However, he would be sent flying almost immediately. In the meantime, Kushina and the others were attempting to get away. Madara would then disappear into a swirl, looking to go after Kushina. She was now outside. She had only just given birth, and the pain hadn't subsided, but yet she still had the strength to be able to run with her child. Just then, on the road before them, the masked man would appear once more, believing that now this was his chance to strike. The Anbu members would try to attack at Madara, but they would quickly be cut down, as he used his chains to wrap around before ripping out their very throats. However, at the last second, Minato would appear behind both Kushina as well as the third Hokage's wife. Using Flying Raijin once again, they would disappear, heading to the Hokage's office. Once there, Minato would return back to the battlefield to see that Madara hadn't even left and figured out what had happened yet. Kakashi and Boruto would come out of the woods looking to strike. Kushina was worried about Minato, Kakashi, Boruto. They were still back there fighting against the masked man, the man who claimed himself to be Madara. If it truly was who she thought it was, then all of her fears were only exasperated even further. However, her attendant would remind her that Minato was a powerful and capable shinobi, and he had the trusted aid of Kakashi, as well as the young man who had been helping them up to this point. They would find a way to get through it, and they would come back safe. However, looming over the Hokage's office, the wall next to them would be taken out completely. Shrouded in cloud, a dark figure would emerge, with an energy-like whip of light sticking into the back of the third Hokage's wife, as she felt her chakra being almost entirely siphoned from her as she fell to the ground. Moving and retreating back into the shadows like a fishing hook, the shrouded figure laughed in the darkness as Kushina stood on guard, Minato having left her behind, and with baby Naruto resting in the bed behind her. "Who are you? Show yourself!" Now, Nine Tails. There's nothing to worry about. It's all going to be over soon. All I require from you is the tailed beast that dwells inside. The Nine Tails? Kushina would think. I won't let you. You speak as if you have a choice in the matter. The figure would launch its fishing hook towards her once again. However, Kushina would counter with the Uzumaki sealing chains. Pesky little things. However, I have a way of getting around it. The figure would recoil and launch its fishing hook once more. Kushina looking to fend it off, only for it to loop around her, grabbing away at the baby swaddled in cloth before bringing it back to him. Holding it in its arms, Kushina saw the pale individual, a being that looked like they were from another world, its eyes looking as though it had that of the Byakugan. Naruto! Let him go, or else! So simple, creatures. All you do is take one hostage, and all of a sudden you're willing to do any and everything. You would think that you all would know something about self-preservation. I mean, what's one insignificant little human anyway? Can't you always make more? Why does it matter if you lose? Before he even had a chance to finish, the Nine-Tails chakra would begin to seep out of Kushina as she went clawing towards Urashiki. Let go of my child, or I'll rip you apart! Is that so? Well, if you want him so badly, then take him! Urashiki flung the baby high into the air, Kushina's maternal instincts taking over as she tried to jump high to grab him, only for Urashiki to stab his fishing rod into her chest, beginning to pull as much of the chakra as he could out of her. Kushina watched as baby Naruto was beginning to careen to the ground. She desperately wanted to reach him, but right now she was caught in the clutches of the Otsutsuki. However, at the last moment, almost as if they were all being swapped and switched around, baby Naruto's position would be switched with someone else. Kushina would be switched once again and over, Kushina now finding herself holding baby Naruto in the wreckage of the Hokage Tower. And Urashiki, he caught a foot to the face as standing before him with his sword drawn, Sasuke Uchiha. You. So, you managed to get to the past. I have. And it ends here for you, Urashiki. Nothing stops here for me except for you. You think that I came all this way just to die at your hands? You inferior creature. You cannot change anything. In one way or another, the Otsutsuki are destined to rule. It's been foretold long since the beginning all the way until now. You stand in the way of something that is entirely futile. And what is that? As if you could comprehend. Do you know what it truly means to become a god? You might think of yourself as one, but I assure you, you don't know the first thing about it. You may try to deny us our destiny, but one way or another, it will come to pass. The Otsutsuki will rule in this world once again, and all of you so-called shinobi will be wiped off the face of the earth. You and your pale imitations of our true power. That may very well come to pass, but I assure you, it won't happen on my watch. You're going to die here, Urashiki. That is your fate. And it's your fate because you came across me. Well, we'll see about that. In the meantime, Minako continued his battle against the masked man. Kakashi and Boruto trying to aid as best they could. The masked man knew that he was getting nowhere at this point. He couldn't continue this fight against all three of them. The weak link was the blonde-haired boy. And why he looked so much like Minato. Had Minato had a younger sibling? Someone he didn't know about? It made no difference. Once he had his opportunity, he would use his abilities, creating a swirl around Boruto, as Boruto would find himself disappearing. When Boruto saw next, he was stuck in the Kamui dimension, with no way of getting out. What's going on? Hey! Let me out! Boruto had no idea what to do in this moment. He had no idea where he had gotten stuck to, or even more so, he had no idea how he was going to get out of this. After removing Boruto from the equation, the masked man would then take his leave once more. Right now, his only focus was getting his hands on Kushina. That was the end-all be-all to his mission. However, when he arrived inside of the village, what he saw next was even more shocking and perplexing. A strange, white creature battling against someone else. Someone with a Sharingan. And even more so, a Rinnegan? What is the meaning of this? How does he possess a Rinnegan? The only one that should have a Rinnegan should be Nagato. And he is nowhere here. What is going on? Madara couldn't make sense of any of it. As he looked down and saw Kushina with her child, he thought that now was the time to make his move. However, before he could do so, he would be stopped in his tracks. Fugaku Uchiha. I take it you're the one who's behind this? Not quite. I have no idea who he is above. My only matter or concern is the Nine Tails, and you're standing in my way. Fugaku would activate his Mangekyo. You gonna do something about it? Madara. You're a lot braver, Fugaku, or maybe a lot more foolish than most. Although, foolishness will always be the lasting legacy of the Uchiha. The only thing that's foolish is the veil you're trying to put over everyone. Fugaku would use his hands to make air quotes. After all, you are Madara Uchiha, are you not? Yet you sneak around and you hide and you coward, as if you're not confident in your abilities. Fugaku would step forward. What's the matter? Are you afraid? If you're the famed Madara Uchiha like you claim to be, then killing me should be no problem, shouldn't it? Down to the very end, being insolent, that is what you'll be remembered for, Fugaku. If you are the leader of the Uchiha now, then it's no wonder why you have fallen from such high esteem. The Uchiha will always survive. The only one who has fallen off is you. You besmirched the name of the Uchiha long ago, and now, even worse, you pretend to be something that you're not. I know all too well. Whoever you are not Madara Uchiha. So tell me, who are you really? What are you trying to do here? You still doubt me, even now. Enough with the games. If you are truly Madara, then remove your mask. There's nothing to hide, isn't there? No reason to cower away. Expose who you truly are. Stand behind your actions. Be a man about it, Obito. With that, the mask would seemingly fall off, cracking onto the ground itself. So, you saw through it, huh? Well, if you wish for me to be a man so badly, you'll get your wish. I'm the one doing this. It's all on me. It doesn't make a difference. You're gonna die here, Fugaku. We'll see about that. Multiple battles were taking place across Konoha. Sasuke now battling against Urashiki, who had to eat his own eyes in order to awaken into his fused state, becoming fused Urashiki and activating his own Rinnegan. Sasuke had to use his full concentration just to battle against him alone. Meanwhile, Fugaku was fighting against Obito, Minato racing to the village along with Kakashi, and Boruto still stuck in the Kamui dimension. He had to try to figure a way out. He had to get out of here, do something. Wait, there was that time when he was fighting off against Sumire and Mitsuki, when they got stuck in the Nue dimension. His eye did something that day. No one else had ever seen it. No one even thought it was possible. But yet, even still, if he could figure it out, maybe that could be his way out of here. In the darkness of Boruto's mind, a figure from his past would laugh. Soon, but not now. By the time Minato arrived to the village, he was privy to what was happening. Other Konoha shinobi were assisting as they attempted to battle against Urashiki. Urashiki's power was now on full display as he was fending off all of them, battling off against Sasuke Uchiha himself, who was worrying about the safety of others while also trying to fend off against Urashiki. Off in the other direction, both Kakashi and Minato could see that Fugaku was indeed in combat, but the masked man's mask had come off. And who it was, they couldn't believe it. Kakashi would yell out, "Obito!" Obito would be distracted just long enough for Fugaku to try to land a fatal strike, only for it to pass through him once more, as Obito would almost decapitate Fugaku, who had just narrowly dodged. Kakashi would race towards Obito in that moment. However, Obito would merely kick him away. "Obito, why are you..." "You have a dumb look on your face, Kakashi. There's no point in making an explanation for why I'm doing what I'm doing. Even if I told you, it wouldn't change a thing. In the end, all of it comes to an end." Obito would disappear into the Kamui before reappearing behind Kushina. Kushina would disappear instantly, Kakashi arriving just in time to find baby Naruto, holding on to him as the fight with Urashiki continued. Inside of the Kamui dimension, Boruto was still trying to find a way out when Kushina arrived along with Obito. Boruto would try to strike at Obito once again, but Obito was in no mood to play with Boruto any longer. Delivering a series of strikes to the chest and to the face, he almost knocked the boy out entirely, with Obito now looming over Kushina. Kushina lied on the ground as Obito weaved a series of hand signs before looking into her eyes with his Mangekyo Sharingan, summoning forth the Nine Tails. The Nine Tails chakra would begin to leak from her body as he began to pull it to the forefront. From out of Kushina, the Nine Tails was slowly starting to emerge, the seal on her stomach now starting to be undone as Obito would reach in. Kushina, however, would look to him with a face of confusion. Obito, why are you... Shh. It'll all be over soon. I promise. All you have to do is relax and just let go. With that, Obito would begin to pull. And before long, the Nine Tails would emerge. Now using the Kamui once again, he would leave Kushina and Boruto in the Kamui dimension as he now unleashed the Nine Tails. The Nine Tails emerged on top of the Hokage monuments overlooking the village. From this position, he could wipe it all out, all of it in one fell swoop. Who are you, Uchiha? How dare you try to command me? I am the Nine Tails. I know what you are, and I am now your master. Obey me, creature. As he looked into the eyes of Obito, the Sharingan would appear inside of the Nine Tails' eyes as he began to fall under the control of the Uchiha. Obito was looking to use a tailed beast bomb to direct it towards the Konoha that laid down below. In one action, he could destroy it all. All of it could be gone, and he could finally obtain his vengeance. Meanwhile, inside of the Kamui dimension, Boruto sat next to Kushina, who lied on the ground. She looked incredibly weak. Boruto wasn't sure of what to do. Grandma! You know, it's so refreshing you calling me that. I'm just... It's okay. I'll be fine. It's what happens when a Jinchuriki loses their tailed beast. What? Your father, my Naruto, he probably never told you, but when a Jinchuriki loses their tailed beast, it reduces their lifespan. But thankfully, since I'm an Uzumaki, I won't go down so easily. Unlike most, death is almost instantaneous. Wait, but you've only just lost it. What if we could get it back inside of you? I don't know. It takes a lot to seal it away. If I could, maybe. But the village, we have to stop him. You're right. We've got to figure a way out of here. Boruto would try to think. If there was just some way for him to think of a way out. He focused as hard as he could until he felt a sensation in his hand. A stinging sensation. Just then, Kushina would see the markings beginning to form on his body. She was puzzled for a moment, worried. The black markings etching across Boruto's palmed hand and his arm, as well as across his face. His right eye glowed, but it wasn't like a Byakugan. It wasn't like anything she'd ever seen before. Boruto? Almost as if he had no control or mind of his own, he raised his hand up before him until a small portal began to open, leading back to Konoha. Boruto and Kushina would make their way through, arriving back on the outskirts, just to see what was happening. The Nine-Tails was rampaging on top of the Hokage monument, getting ready to fire off a tailed beast bomb. Minato was trying to get to him, but Urashiki was as well. So was Sasuke. Obito making his move as well, and Kakashi trying to stop him. Everything was moving so hectically and all at once. When the tailed beast bomb was fired off, right in Kushina and Boruto's direction. Minato worried in that moment. He didn't have a flying Raijin marker towards them. He'd have to move as fast as he could. Maybe he could teleport away at the last second. Kushina watched as Boruto raised his hand into the air. The tailed beast bomb coming into contact with the boy. There was a strong gust of wind that started blowing in every which way and direction. Kushina was worried, yelling out for Boruto as he seemingly took on the tailed beast bomb. Urashiki watched to see what was happening. No way. How did he gain the karma of Momoshiki? He's the chosen vessel? No matter. It made no difference. Urashiki would move towards the Nine-Tails. Using his Rinne Sharingan, he would now place the beast under his control. Obito had no idea what was happening, but now someone else had emerged. Someone he had no idea of or what he could even do, but the being was more capable than him. Urashiki had used his ability of precognition to see seconds into the future, and he used that to find the best possible outcome for him in terms of getting the tailed beast. Obito had no idea just how far things had fallen out of control, and even more so as Urashiki attempted to amass the power of the tailed beast, when out of nowhere a black substance would emerge, binding and holding him in place. What the? This sense. Kaguya. Not quite. I am Kaguya's will. Zetsu. Zetsu, Obito would say. What is the meaning of this? I no longer have a use for you, Uchiha. My plan can now come into full fruition, thanks to the Otsutsuki that has shown himself. You left your guard down, and now the revival of my master can once again resume. You betrayed us, Kaguya. So, this is what you've been up to this whole time. She amassed her will and gave it form, and that's why you've been hiding in the shadows. Zetsu, was it? And now, Kaguya shall live again! However, before Zetsu could even have a chance to, Urashiki would use his Rinnegan to gain control over his body, subjugating Black Zetsu, before using his chakra fishing rod to take all of his chakra away and destroying the master manipulator. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid Kaguya won't be reviving anytime soon. And now, as for you, tailed beast! Sasuke would smack him in the face with the Chidori, knocking him to the ground once again. Minato would move towards the Nine-Tails that had now been let itself free. It was set to make another massive rampage, but this time, Kushina would use the Uzumaki sealing chains to bind and hold it in place. She was prepared to take it back within herself. Hopefully, if she didn't survive it, she could drag it with her to her grave. Minato couldn't allow that to happen, Fugaku following close behind. I think I can pacify it. You can? Minato would ask. Yes. Do you know how to seal the Nine-Tails back inside of Kushina? I do, but wait, where's Naruto? Mikoto has him. She arrived at my request. She's taken them somewhere safe. They'll be fine. Makoto Uchiha, wife of Fugaku Uchiha, at the request of her husband, had arrived to the battlefield, taking the baby Naruto. He was now safely secured in a crib, lying next to another infant, Sasuke, the two of them being looked over by Itachi Uchiha. I can pacify it with my Sharingan. Do you know how to seal it back within Kushina? I can. I can use as much time as you can give me. Understood. The Nine Tails looked down towards Fugaku. You dare to subjugate me? I don't. I merely wish to restore order, Nine Tails. Please, bear with me just a little while longer. Fugaku would activate his Mangekyo Sharingan, pacifying Kurama, as Minato would run through the hand signs as quickly and effectively as possible. The third Hokage would now join him, now using his summoning of Monkey King Enma. He would use the adamantium staff transformation to bind and help hold down the Nine Tails as best he could. Minato, the third Hokage would ask him. I know, I'm running through them now. If I go through the seals, I'll best be able to seal it inside of Kushina once again. It's going to be difficult. I'll help you as best I can. Wait, are you sure though? It's the only way. The two Hokages would now work together side by side, as the Nine Tails was now reverted back to its original state. Although getting all of it back inside of Kushina in one go wasn't going to be easy. We're not going to make it in time. At best, we'll only be able to get half of it inside of her. That's better than nothing. But what about the other half? It'll have to be sealed inside of someone else. Minato was going to suggest himself. But Kushina, she would make the offer. What about Naruto? What? I can handle half. I know he can handle the other half. Are you sure? At that request, Minato would go as quickly as he could to find where baby Naruto was, before bringing him back to the battlefield once again. With help from the third Hokage, the Nine Tails would be split in half, one half going inside of Kushina, and the other half inside of Naruto. As to which half was given, the yin or the yang, they weren't entirely sure. The only thing they knew for certain was that at the very least they had averted the worst case scenario. As Obito would arise back to his feet, he would be met once again by Kakashi. Kakashi's Sharingan now having turned into the Mangekyo itself, and Obito matching in kind, as the two of them would begin their fight also. Urashiki in the meanwhile cursed at this, but maybe he could still get a win. Half of the Nine Tails was better than nothing. All he had to do was take the baby. He could take it and leave. However, that would be easier said than done, as he would find himself being trapped, as the earth itself would start to rise around him. Sasuke, using his Rinnegan abilities, would trap Urashiki, attempting to bind him inside of Shibaku Tensei. That way, he could create an opening for everyone else to take him out. Minato had many sealing jutsus and techniques. Maybe they could seal away Urashiki, if that was even possible. Boruto, in the meanwhile, lied inside of a crater, his karma having worked overtime just to absorb all of the chakra from that Biju bomb. His arm felt incredibly weak, almost as if it were on fire, as he slowly erased himself once more, only to see that Urashiki was breaking free out of Shibaku Tensei once again. Sasuke would continue once more in his fight against Urashiki, Minato and the third Hokage helping out as well, along with the likes of Fugaku and other members of the Uchiha clan. They were all battling against the Otsutsuki all at once, looking to create an opening just for one of them to strike him down. As Boruto would join into the battle, he looked on watching all of the shinobi at work. Minato flying around using the flying Raijin, now having entered into Sage mode. While he was able to get close enough, he didn't have enough destructive power to take out Urashiki, not on his own. Boruto would jump into the air, meeting with his grandfather once more, watching as Sasuke would continue to lead the assault against the Otsutsuki. He's definitely a powerful enemy, even with my Sage mode. Yeah, it's gonna take a lot of power to bring him down. Have you dealt with something like this before? Well, I did with my dad. We combined together to create a Rasengan. I see. Maybe we can do the same here. What's the matter? I don't know. My hand. That Biju bomb. You absorbed it. With those markings. I don't know what they are. I don't even know what they can do, but I feel like all that power is still inside of me. Is it? I think so. I have an idea. Do you think you could unleash all of that power? The power of the Biju bomb. I think I could. I mean, if I had the opportunity, then yes. I'm going to make an opening. Minato would hand Boruto a flying Raijin kunai. Hold on to this. At the right moment, you're going to deal the finishing blow. Again? Boruto would think. But oh well, he would listen to Minato. As Minato would create the opening, he would get as close as he could to Urashiki, throwing the flying Raijin kunai at him. Changing positions with the kunai at the last moment, he would slam a Rasengan straight into Urashiki's face, knocking him high into the sky above. In doing so, Kushina would join the battle as well, as the adamantite Uzumaki chains would bind and hold him in place, just long enough, as Minato would tell for Sasuke to switch places between him and Boruto, with the flying Raijin kunai in hand. Sasuke would use his Amano Kara to switch everyone's positions, as now Boruto would land just above Urashiki. Minato would use the flying Raijin to appear, now beside Boruto. As Boruto used his hand that had the Karma Seal, he would unleash a massive Biju bomb, all in the palm of his hand, with double the strength that he had been hit with. Minato pressed his hand under it as well. Under the dark purple sphere of the Biju bomb, a light blue ring would appear behind it. A jutsu of this magnitude requires the ultimate name. The grandfather-grandson combination jutsu. Flying Raijin Biju Rasengan. Purple Vortex. The two would collide together. Minato, using all of his senjutsu energy, to pour into a Rasengan-like ring that formed around the now double the Biju bomb. The two of them slamming it into Urashiki, completely destroying and eviscerating him. Urashiki would be wiped from existence. There was some damage, yes, but the battle would be won, their victory secure, and a future that seemed brightly ahead. Of course, many people had questions that night regarding what had happened, although the details were being kept close to the vest. While Kakashi had fought against Obito, their battle came to a stalemate, with Obito getting the slip and eventually disappearing. Wherever he was in the world, Kakashi would find him. He had to. Both Kushina and Naruto would be monitored at the hospital. It was touch and go for a while, not knowing how Kushina's chakra would acclimate to only having half of the Nine Tails, and their son Naruto, who now had the other half sealed within him. Although, in the end, everything seemed to stabilize, as the nurse would give her report. They're both in stable conditions, just exhausted, that's all. And Kushina, the Nine Tails. From what I can see, it's good that she has the Uzumaki heritage. I'd say that with half of the Nine Tails back within her, her body will stabilize. I don't think there'll be any lingering issues for now, although I would advise not going through any sort of extraction like that again. It definitely took a toll on her lifespan, potentially. But for now, I think she'll be able to make a full recovery. As for your son, he's taken to the Nine Tails just fine. It's safely stored within him and the seal is strong. Minato would breathe a sigh of relief as Sasuke and Boruto sat beside one another. "You did good, Boruto," Sasuke would say. About what I said before, I shouldn't have. I don't really know anything, and it wasn't my place to speak like that. You're not the only one at fault. So often, I try to think that doing the right thing is about doing what's best for everyone. But deep down, I never thought about doing what's best for myself also. What we've done here might not change anything back home, but at the very least, I have comfort knowing that there is a world out there, a world where things did turn out for the better. And it's all thanks to you, my student. The two would fist bump, smiling together as Minato would thank them both, bowing to them profusely. You both, you've given me something I never thought I would have. An actual future. I'm grateful to the both of you for everything that you've done for us. Honestly, if there's anything I can do, anything at all, it's fine. We actually just need to figure a way to get home. Oh yeah, Karasuki, Boruto would think. When they eventually found the time-traveling turtle, they could see that it still hadn't fully charged. It's gonna need to charge up before it can let us go back. I think we can figure a way to do that, Minato would say. With help from Kushina and a little help from an infant Naruto, they were able to siphon off just enough of the Nine Tails chakra to be able to charge up the time-traveling turtle. However, before leaving, Sasuke had one thing he had to do. For the safety of everything, I'm going to have to erase your memories here and now. Boruto was surprised by this, but Minato expected it to happen. It's for the best. It's the only way we'll be able to carry on in our lives the way we are now. However, I did leave a note on your desk. It won't reveal the future, but it'll be urgent. Follow that note, and things might play out for the better. I see. I'll make sure to do that, even though I won't remember. I'll make sure that the genjutsu affects you enough so that you'll remember the note. As they were preparing to set off, Boruto would be stopped by Minato and Kushina as they held a baby Naruto in their arms. I can't thank you enough, Boruto, for everything. I mean, because of you, we have a chance. It's no problem at all. I'm just glad I could help. Actually, could you do something for us? Minato held a scroll. Please, give this to Naruto when you see him. It may not mean the same since we're technically his parents, but not his parents. But I think the sentiment still stands. Yeah, it will do. With that, Boruto would give Minato and Kushina a hug, as well as baby Naruto. I don't know what the future holds for you here, but whatever it is, do your best, Dad. With that, Karasuki would be activated. Sasuke would place everyone who needed to know under the hypnosis, including Fugaku, as well as the third Hokage, and Kakashi. For now, it was best for them to not remember the events that had transpired. As they would begin to disappear and fade into the light, a dark shadow, waiting for the right opportunity, would follow behind them. In the meantime, both Boruto and Sasuke would soon arrive back to their own time from which they came. As they did so, Karasuki would ask them what they wanted to do next, to which Sasuke and Boruto agreed that it was best that the turtle not fall into enemy hands. They asked him what he wanted to do with his life. Karasuki didn't really know how to answer that. Boruto suggested that Karasuki should just be on his own for a bit, travel around, find his own purpose in life, and decide what he wanted to do. Karasuki would agree, and as such, the turtle would take his leave. As Boruto and Sasuke would arrive back to Konoha, back to their timeline, Naruto would be briefed on everything that happened. And as Boruto gave him the scroll, Naruto had a chance to read it for himself. Dear Naruto, if you're reading this, it means Boruto and Sasuke have made it back to the future safely. This letter is from your mother and I. I know that, technically speaking, we aren't your parents, but we have learned about your life, about what you've gone through. On one hand, we are proud of you, so proud of you, for the man you've become and for the shinobi you've grown to be. But on the other hand, we are sorry. We wish, I know at the least, any version of us would have done anything possible to be there for you, so that things weren't so rough for you growing up. We know that it can never truly replace everything that's happened. I want you to know that we love you. No matter what the timeline, no matter where we might be, you will always be our Naruto, and we couldn't be more prouder of you. Naruto would be moved by the letter, as he and Boruto would embrace in a hug. For Naruto, of all the gifts he had ever received, this was probably the best one. No, it was the best one. And for Boruto, to see his father smile, that was the happiest he could ever be. Naruto promised he'd be home soon. He just had to finish up a little bit of work. But Boruto told his father not to rush it. But if he did come home, it would be nice. Sasuke would go home as well to spend time with Karin, as well as Sarada and Sakumo. As Boruto walked the streets of Konoha, as the sun was beginning to set, his mother, Hanabi, still at the hospital, it looked like it was going to be him and Himawari on their own for a bit. Hima was always used to spending her time home alone, but even still, he enjoyed spending time with his sister. Maybe they could cook burgers together. As Boruto entered his home, though, all of the lights, save for the one in the living room, were off. As he made his way, Boruto froze in absolute terror. He saw Himawari being held, a hand covering her mouth, the glare of a red Sharingan on the scarred side of a face, and a kunai held to her throat. What the? Why are you? Boruto Uzumaki. Why don't you have a seat? You and I have a lot to talk about. This concludes Naruto Polaris, The Fallen Star, the movie, Vortex of Fate. What if Hanabi Hyuga was born first? Part 3 of the movie finale. As always, thank you all for watching along with this series and for being a part of this 3-part movie presentation. The next time this series will continue will be when we begin the Vessel arc for Naruto Polaris, The Fallen Star. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with Power Core Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.